Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a Thursday, May 9th edition of Established to Run's NBA Injury Analysis Show. I am Mark Dankenbring, joined here as always by Mike Gallagher. We have some game twos on tap tonight after Boston took care of business pretty handily in game one, and the Thunder did the same, pulling away from Dallas in game two. So hopefully some tighter contests tonight. How you feeling today, Mike, and ahead of these game twos?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. I kind of like this slate today. We'll see if Boston could kind of put the pedal to the metal and blow them out, and then curious to see how Dallas fights back. It's gonna be tough. We'll kind of talk about it a little bit. Matchups is up. Kind of dug in pretty good today, so it should be some good stuff. And I'll drop some nuggets as I always do from there as we go through the two games today.
Sounds great.
Beverly just got suspended 4 games. It just came out, so that's
really.
He'll talk about it on his podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah, not too impactful for this season. RIP Bev, but yeah, we'll have to factor that in next season. Early note for our 2024 NBA projections. So let's start in Boston though, where Cleveland will try and keep this one a bit closer, but seem unlikely to do it without Jared Allen again. We have the same injury report for both games tonight as we did on Tuesday, so not a whole lot new to talk about necessarily. But Jared Allen still listed questionable with this right rib contusion, and then Dean Wade, Craig Porter Jr., and Ty Jerome all remain out. We did see Dean Wade getting some on-court work done before Tuesday's game, so thought maybe he had a chance to get upgraded, but still listed out here, so we will not see Dean Wade still. And then Jared Allen, we have some updates on him and his condition. How about you going into that and the potential likelihood that he sits out again tonight?
Yeah, pretty sure he's not playing. So I was listening to Chris Fedor's podcast, which I've noted dozens of times on this show. He was saying that he saw Jared Allen in an elevator, and Allen was in so much pain that he used his shoe as extra pair of shoe as a poker to like press the button on the elevator he wanted to go to because the pain's so bad. You could see him struggling to breathe on the bench when he had the Nike outfit on. Wasn't a shoot around today. I mean, just line it up. This is like pure gamesmanship. He's not playing situation. So maybe 10% chance he's going to play, probably less than that. So he's out. I feel pretty confident Isaac Okoro is going to play and start. We saw Isaac Okoro guard Jaylen Brown. A lot of commentary about Okoro getting cooked by Jaylen Brown. I will say a lot of it was transition. A lot of it was just through multiple screens. They just put Brown in such a position to succeed here. So expecting Okoro to give it another go. They certainly need his defensive impact. And then we know the rest. Can Max Strus bounce back? They put a blanket on him. Some Derek White. Jaylen Brown was on him a bunch. And then, Garland had to deal with Derek White and then got attacked by Derek White on the other end. We'll talk about him in a second. So, yeah, it'll be the same starters as game one, I would say. And then we'll see if Marcus Morris gets a little bit more run. Karis LeVert is awful. As I noted in matchups, he's dead last in half-court efficiency among like the top 30, 40 guys. Whatever it is, he's been awful. Sam Merrill, we'll see if those minutes are affected. He looked too small up there, missed his shots. But then again, they need shooting. They did get a good amount of shooting. They out wide open three'd the Celtics, but just too tough, man. The Celtics are just so they just won't let the game to Miami shooting variance thing beat them. That's the way they're going to play defense. We got a good Donovan game. Drew all day on him, a little bit of Derek White, a little bit of Jaylen Brown, but he still took it to Drew. We saw 4 games in a row, or I guess 3 in a row now. He's popped off against the upper echelon on-ball defenders because he's really that good of a scorer.
For sure. And I think, as you alluded to, there might be some shakeups in the second unit there for the Cavs as they, continue to experiment here, but we can kind of save more of that talk for the DFS show later tonight behind the paywall. Let's head over to the Boston side, though, where Kristaps Porzingis still remains out here. He's the only one listed on the injury report, so should be a pretty straightforward rotation again here for Boston. Any news and notes that you want to share with the people?
Yeah, just the Luke Cornett overlap. That was that was the only interesting wrinkle. Pritchard did play garbage. That was also noteworthy with the spread getting up to, I think, 13.5. Other than that, a little bit of Tillman. That was really it. I mentioned the one-on-one matchups as well. Jaylen Brown absolutely cooking. And then Jason Tatum can't make shots. I really dug in a lot on matchups, and I won't say too much. Check it out. But there's a lot of data that's saying he's just running so bad. So kind of think there's a bounce back spot. Without saying too much that's in there, Jason Tatum's my cover boy for matchups today. One note that I will share, they didn't use Mobley on him. I think that's another thing that works in his favor. They put Max Strus on him a ton. So I don't think they're going to really shake things up. They need a little bit of rim defense, but they might get a little bit. They might pull out something, but they need to keep Okoro in the first unit. I think the wing defense is so important. So versus like the Paolo situation, you could kind of give it up a little bit there. I just think it's hard to take away the wing defense in this spot if they're going to do the more split flop things. It's kind of is really tough to get away with that.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. And everyone make sure to check out Mike's matchups columns, especially early in the series is really when those nuggets shined through and can get some solid analysis to help you on your own personal bets and anything you're looking at for tonight's games. Mike's matchups, obviously an elite resource at this time of the season and throughout the whole season. So excited to read that. All right, let's head to the Western Conference matchup tonight. Dallas at Oklahoma City. On the Mavericks side, again, same injury report here as Maxi Kleber and Omax Prosper remain out. And then Luka Doncic listed probable with that right knee sprain once again. Doncic has struggled and, just no other way around it. He struggled, has not looked great on the floor. Any insight, any updates on his injury? And then any other news and notes you have from Dallas's game one, pretty big time losses as OKC pulled away there in the second half.
Yeah, so just let's talk about Luka first. We saw after two presser nuggets that I wanted to share that were pretty funny. Luka was asked if he was hurting. He said, quote, "Who cares? We lost." And then Jason Kidd had a pretty funny exchange with one of the beat reporters. They were like, "Hey, is Luka hurt?" I was like, "I don't know. You ask him." He's like, "What'd he say?" He said he's hurt. And then Kidd says, "Oh, okay, I guess he's hurt then." And then you can watch. I mean, he shoots those fadeaways, and he doesn't want to land on his right leg. You see him gimping around all the time, grimacing. He's not 100%. Second lowest scoring playoff game for him in his NBA career for the postseason. 2020 bubble is how far you'd have to go when he scored 13 points in just 29 minutes. So arguably his worst game. The drive stats were a little bit down, not like big down, but the shooting was not there. Obviously, Lou Dort was all over him. Cason Wallace did a good job. J-Dub did a good job. They just have so many waves of defenders to throw at Luka Doncic. So we'll see. Obviously, again, the pace of this game was also of note. The pace of this game one, was 98.2, and then the Clipper series, it was 91.6. That's a pretty big jump. I will note, interestingly enough, Dallas's pace was actually faster than OKC's was. Dallas was trying to get in their offense pretty quick because OKC was just clamping them. So, I have doubts about Luka. He's got the sleeve on. Certainly the explosion isn't there. Add that, like, him and Jamal Murray are just running into such bad matchups for having any explosive issues. So very similar there. But, yeah, I have some concerns with him. And then just a lot of foul trouble. PJ Washington, really stupid fouls. A lot of fouls that really plagued them. SGA, comments from Kyrie saying, like, hey, this was called like a regular season game because of all the calls that SGA was getting. I will say they weren't like too bad. It wasn't like Indiana bad, which we'll talk about tomorrow for sure. Dink and I actually talked about it on the podcast a little bit. But yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr., kind of last man in, but last man out, as I mentioned on the pod just now, and I tweeted about it. Their last chance lineup was Kyrie, Luka, THJ, Derek Jones Jr., who's been pretty good, and then PJ Washington at the 5. They haven't used that lineup. They used it for 2.4 minutes, got smoked as OKC pulled away. So, yeah, and then Gafford was awesome. Pretty easy to see that come in there. So, yeah, expecting mostly a run-it-back situation. Should mention Dante Exum didn't play in the second half non-garbage. But Luka, they were going to sub him in for Luka. He was like going to the table, and then Luka called him off. He's like, hey, I got this. So expecting Exum to reappear in the rotation. And then we'll see what happens with Tim Hardaway. I mean, he was useless out there. We're returning from an injury. So we'll see if they shift things because they just got smoked. And, they're going to try to play the 3-point variance game. They kind of got it. Like, they didn't, like, OKC beat them, but they got pretty good looks, and they were 1.2 points per possession on catch and spot up plays, which is great. That's better than Boston's number 1 rank. So they got that, and they still got smoked. So, yeah, OKC just domination, man. They just are out there killing it. Number 1 defense in the playoffs by a pretty good margin here. Really uphill battle and tough to do. Anyone who's climbed uphill with a bad leg, and I would know, I go uphill a lot. Is not good. So tall task for Dallas here.
For sure. And without Maxi Kleber, I was interested to see how they would handle the center position. And up until that last lineup that you mentioned, kind of the desperation lineup, they did go all of Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford up until about the final 7.5, 8 minutes of the game. So that was at least notable against, OKC size. We saw Daniel Gafford put up 12 shots, 16 points. So decent matchup for him, most likely. And then, when it comes to Luka Doncic and, the Dallas's offensive struggles, like you mentioned, they're getting good spot up opportunities, but if he can't dominate the half court offense, against a defense like OKC, who's really stout and everything, I just have a hard time seeing Dallas really creating enough offense to compete here. If Luka, can either find some health or just start playing a little better at less than 100%. All right, let's head to the Thunder side, where a clean injury report once again, and we'll kind of save the detailed rotation talks for the DFS show later. But any big macro notes or just observations that you want to share on the Thunder side here tonight?
Yeah, just Lou Dort got into foul trouble. He was spectacular on defense. That's really all there is to say. The Josh Giddey stuff was interesting, and I tweeted about it. I talked about it on the pod. It's my favorite timeout of the playoffs. 7:22 left in the third. Dallas coming in red hot, closed a double-digit lead. They come out, they sub out Josh Giddey, they bring in Isaiah Joe, and they draw this play up to get Isaiah Joe a three. He makes it, and that was it. That swung the game. From that point, OKC just ran away with it. So Giddey going away, what happens there? In the non-Giddey minutes, they had a plus 41 net rating. So they played Giddey off the court. They played with the big. They tried to get him off the court, and it really backfired because the non-Giddey lineup's just destroyed. Mentioned Isaiah Joe. Aaron Wiggins, we'll talk more about him. He was awesome. He would fit on any rotation in a big way, perhaps like 6-man importance for some teams. He would get Tibbs would play him like 40 minutes. But yeah, like we said, we kind of know the 8. We know the starters. We know Isaiah Joe. We know Aaron Wiggins. We know Cason Wallace. We'll note they did overlap Jalen Williams, Jay Lynn, the big. And there was actually, I was listening to an OKC pod on my ride to my hike, and the guy had mentioned that there was a miscommunication. Like Derek Lively subbed in, and they didn't know that OKC was going to go double big, and both Luka and Lively both thought they had Chet, so they kind of screwed it up. And this is a testament to Mark Daigneault, man. He just throws everything at you. You can't prepare for all the stuff Mark Daigneault is going to throw at you. He's been doing it for months, so he gave Kid a lot to chew on. Whereas without Maxi Kleber on the other side, I should have mentioned, as I kind of mentioned that closing lineup, like there's not a lot to prepare for Dallas. Like damn well what you're going to get. Where OKC, they got a lot of cards to play.
Yeah, shout out to the coach of the year. They are throwing curveballs continuously and making it tough on the opposing coach as well as the opposing team, just with all the bodies and talent they're tossing out there. All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of Establish the Run's NBA Injury Analysis Show. As always, we ask for your support in promoting this free content by liking the video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're closing in on 5K subscribers, which is our goal for the end of the season. So if you have not yet subscribed, please head down below this video and subscribe for us. That it really does mean a lot to us. If you want some more free content, it sounds like Mike and Drew recorded a fresh podcast this morning that will likely hit feeds this afternoon. So give a listen to that as well. And then we continue to do Mike's matchups column every day behind the paywall, as well as daily DFS analysis shows for each slate, including we've been popping on and doing some Saturday slate analysis as well. So if you are not a subscriber, go ahead and head to establishtheRun.com/subscribe-MBA to access all of our packages there. We have some discounted prices here as we are into the playoffs. So really appreciate all you guys' support on this free content. And if you would like to help us out behind the paywall as well, we appreciate that also. So appreciate everyone being there with us today. Enjoy game 2s tonight, and we'll be back here tomorrow to check in ahead of the Friday 2-game slate as well. Thanks a lot. See you guys later.